Hello everyone, I hope you can hear me. Thank you for joining me on today's XMP webinar, which is actually a live event. My name's Louise Parsons. I am a Senior Account Manager here at Snap and have been for, I want to say 15 years, but I think it's actually 17 years. And today I'm going to be taking you through 3 engaging question types using Snap XMP. So I'm going to change my slide. We're just going to very quickly go through a few things about building better surveys. And we're going to be doing that within Snap XMP. So in the next 20 minutes, we're going to have a look at the 3 simple question types that we can create more engaging surveys through. We're going to be exploring ranking, categorize, and map control questions. We all know that building better surveys isn't just about the format that the survey takes, the physical, it's also about what's included within the survey. Relevance, as you'll all know, is key. Only ask the questions that you need. Language should be kept as simple and direct, and response options should be clean and kept to a minimum. The number of questions, the length, it's shorter the better is the rule, and time as well. So if you're going to put a time, it's always good to put a time on there so that they know how long they're going to invest in the survey. And I can only say test, test, and test again when it comes to that so that you get an accurate time. Don't have leading questions to avoid bias, and be friendly, because conversational, friendly surveys tend to have more engagement. And finally, to help get respondents engaged, engaging or visual style questions are also a bonus and a benefit. So why are engaging questions important? Well, 90% of our information that we absorb is visual, and basically we process visual questions and answers quicker and in more context. So images matter, colours matter, and fonts matter when you're creating a survey. So what's in it for you? Why spend the time creating surveys which do have engaging questions in them? Visual and interactive question styles keep your respondents engaged through the survey, is going to increase response rates, which gives you better data. Respondents who recognise your brand, so using things like your brand colours and your branded logos, fonts, watermarks and so on, they're more likely to engage with your questions. That's not just your survey, they're more likely to engage with your actual questions. They're more likely to spend time reading them, comprehending them, and giving you richer answers, which once again gives you better data. So engaged respondents give you better data. And my little bonus fact that I put at the end is that after the length of survey and the time it takes to complete, survey experience is the best way that you can reduce abandonment, which helps increase your response rates. And survey experience includes several things. It includes preceding information, so you're not making them fill in information that you already have. It includes logic, masking, answer branching. All of those things mean that the journey is shorter for them and they're more likely to get to the end. And engaging questions, visual questions help respondents stay in a survey until the end. We also don't forget how you engage. We understand that size matters. So what works for a desktop may not be suitable for your mobile survey because of things like smaller screen sizes, navigation, and our pesky fingers can even get in the way. So don't frustrate your respondents who are responding using their mobile devices. Include some visual questions, but to keep interest throughout, but don't overuse them. Flexible, and the reason I say staying flexible is because Snap XMP lets you create the best experience for both desktop surveys or surveys on your PC and mobile surveys, so surveys on your mobile devices. And it does that because when I say that XMP is very adaptive, I mean it literally. We have adaptive surveys, which means it's the same survey, but it can be presented differently in your desktop than how it's presented in your mobile, so it can be appropriate for both worlds. And we all know that mobile engagement is incredibly important. We're going to be looking at 3 visual styles today. We're going to be looking at rank. We're going to display that as a drag and drop and selections that can be rearranged. We're going to look at categorize, where people can put their option in the appropriate position. And we're also going to look at map control, where you can turn any image into an interactive question. It sounds simple, but I have to say I really love map control questions. I think they're a little bit of magic because you can literally take any image you've got, whether that's a stock image, an internal image that you've had created by your web team, or it can be something like a photograph, for example. You can put boundaries around any part of it and make them selectable fields so you can make it an interactive question. And I have to say, I really do love map controls. So we're going to be looking at 3 types of questions, as I said. We're going to be looking at our ranking question. We're going to use our lovely in-crowd sample survey. We're going to be looking at our categorized question. And we're going, once again, all in our in-crowd sample survey. And we're also going to be looking at creating the map control. So before we get started, I'm going to ask you to grab your phone so that you've got it with you. It's not often that in a meeting they say, oh, can you use your phone? But later on in this webinar, I am going to ask you to use it. So if you can have that by you and standing by, that would be great. But let's get started. We're going to have a couple of what I like to call magic moments and things that I made earlier. So if I come out of here, hopefully you'll be able to see my survey that I have created. So this is our sample survey. So I'm now in my desktop snap, and this is the sample survey, the one I made earlier. So we are going to, I've made it a comprehensive survey because I wanted it to be in context, but I'm just going to go through the first few questions down to the questions that we are going to use today. So, as I said, the questions we're focusing on are rank and categorize examples and map controls. These are the grid questions that we're going to be working with. So I've labelled them so we know what we're doing with them, but obviously you won't have to do that. The first one, grid question, is going to be our category one. The second one is our ranking. The third one is going to be our rating question, which I will go into in a minute. That is going to stay as a grid question. And the fourth one is going to be our map control question. Now, as you'll know, or hopefully know, with Snap XMP, Snap now creates all of the editions of your survey for you. So it creates your PC version, it creates your smartphone version. Or your tablet version, and but you can still make tweaks and changes if you want to, which is incredibly advantageous, as you'll see as we go through. So let's talk about this first one. So in our category question, we are going to be asking people to categorize items from good to very good. These are items down the side. We've got speakers, workshops, networking, and venue. In our ranking question, it's going to be slightly different. You can see that we have a scale along the top, first, second, third, and fourth, and then we have our items down this, which are to be rated down the side or ranked down the side. You want to make sure that you give a unique rank to each value so that you can put in constraints if you want to. An example for this might be if you wish people to rate the top 3 features of a list of 10, you can ensure that respondents can only rate the top 3. So you can put constraints in place as well. Our rating grid question is, just a quick note for those of you who have used or are using rating questions in a grid style format. You'll be excited to know that with XMP, the ratings toolkit has gone. You can now access the rating check directly through the variable properties window. So on a ranking question, when we're asking people to list things in the order of importance, as we are here, so we're saying first being the most important and fourth being the least important, we know that it's going to be valid for them. We don't want them to select both speakers and workshops as first. We only want them to be able to select one in each option. And the way we do that is we apply a rating check. So that prevents respondents from being able to select the same choice, the first, second, the third, or more on one option. And that helps with the validity of your data. And it's really simple now to include your ratings check. You just right click, go to your variable properties and change your rating check to yes. And if I click OK, that is now a rating check question. And I'm going to upload this survey, even though I've made it live. I'm going to click yes. And I'm going to do it without a preview. And I'm going to publish it. It tells me, if you've got a survey live, it tells you that it's live. And am I sure I want to publish these changes? I'm going to say, OK, yes, I do. We know that there are changes to publish because our little red dot has come up by our upload button. Now, if I open my Snap Online, hopefully I'm still logged in. I've been out for a little while. Yes, I am. This is the survey. I've opened the survey and I'm in the Collect tab, and I've scrolled down to our web interviews. Now, we're going to be using this QR code a little bit later, and that's what we're going to be looking at our survey. But I've also made my survey live, and I can see that through my edited URLs, because you can change the URL slug to be a description, for example, of the survey. But I'm going to launch preview. I really like the launch preview button. It's a great place. Actually, if I close this, you can see there's a copy button here. So you can launch the preview, and as we said, when you want to, you should test surveys again and again to know the time it takes to complete them. So you can copy the link and send that to colleagues, and they have to click on it. I understand that it's a preview. They can experience the survey exactly as a respondent would, but their responses don't count. So I'm just going to go past those first few questions and these two, and we're going to the ratings question, grid question. So if I select first for speakers, if I want to put workshoppers first, it tells me each answer can only be given once. So I can only fill this out as first, second, third, or fourth. So let's go back to our design window. We've applied that ratings, and I'm going to leave that as a grid rating question there. It may be worthwhile really quickly if I create a new grid question. I know you can't talk back to me. It'll take just a few seconds. If I press enter, it's locked because we've published it. I'm going to go OK. And the way you create a grid question is you just select grid first in your first drop down. You can type in your question, type grid question. You can press your tab button, and that will lead you to be able to fill in your code labels. I'm going to say first, second, third, and fourth. And then if I press my down arrow on my keyboard, it lets me fill in my grid labels. So this is where I would put item 1, tab, 2, tab, item 3. And that is how you create a grid question. Very easy, very simple. Just to be neat, I'm just going to delete this. So that would be how you create a grid question. That was just an errant thought, because I thought maybe some people haven't created grid questions before. So how do we make these grid questions that we've got here, these first two, more dynamic? Well, obviously the category question is going to be more suited to landscape, and we'll have a look at that. However, the ranking question may work very well with our smartphone. I say that may, I've already tested it, so I know it does. So what we're going to do is we are going to change this over to being a category question. A few clicks once again. We've got it listed as a grid first in our question type. Now we want to choose the element that we want to change. We select show, and in the next drop down, we scroll all the way down to drag and drop. And if I click on that, we can see that we now get a tick box called show. If I tick that, it will now make it a drag and drop. This is a category question, so I'm having it as categorized. And I'm going to go into my options. And as we said, branding is important. People recognizing you is important. So I want to keep in line with the corporate colors for our in-crowd survey. I'm going to just select my color, which is this lovely orange here. And I'm going to make my target one the same color. You might want different colors, you might want variations. And if I click OK, we can see that change here. For my second one, I'm going to change this as a ranking. We're going to do the same thing. First, it's a grid first. The second drop down is show. The third drop down, we change to drag and drop. We tick the show button. But instead of being categorized, we actually ask them to rank it. If I go to my options here, once again, I'm just going to keep my colors the same. So very simple, few clicks, and I'm done. Now, I know this looks a little bit of an ugly duckling, but trust me, it turns into a beautiful swan when we publish it. If I publish it here, I want to. We're going to go through and have a look at it in our online account again. So if you want to include images and so forth, it can take several seconds to publish the survey, but it won't take very long at all, really. I just like to refresh my screen. If I click on our magic preview button again, go past our first couple of questions, we can see that we have got our drag and drop questions here. So our category ones, so I'm going to put them into the category that I like. I'm a speaker today, so obviously they're very good. And in our ranking one here, I'm going to move them over and we can see that they get numbered and we can actually change those around if we want to. Now, speaking about our experiences with mobile devices, this can be quite challenging sometimes. If we go back to our design window, we've been in our PC version. I'm going to go to my smartphone version. Now this one, as I said, I know works well, so I had already converted it. But this one, we could see on our sample, it was quite landscape orientated and probably wouldn't work well because there were several columns for it to be dropped into. So Snap automatically defaults this as drop downs instead of as a drag and drop. If you want to change that, like with this one, I did exactly the same thing, just went to show, drag and drop, and ticked it. Now, my colleague Sarah is very adamant about feeling free to experiment with them. If you're not sure if it's going to fit on a phone, try it. It takes seconds to go live because it automatically syncs with your online account, and you can give it a go to see if it helps. Now we can see that we've got some other map controls in here, such as our smiley faces and so forth, and we've tested them so that they are appropriate, they're a smaller size, and they're appropriate for our smartphone. So talking of our map control, we're going to go down and we are going to look at our map control question. So here we have it. The question is, which areas of the venue did you visit today? And I have 5 options here. So we just create a multiple choice question or a single choice question. A single choice question will mean that they're only allowed to make a single selection. A multiple choice means that they are able to make multiple choices. And we're going to convert this in the same way that we did our drag and drop. Our second drop down is show, and our third drop down, instead of being drag and drop, we're going to select as map control. And we're going to tick our magic little show button. Once we've ticked that, it comes up with our define map control window, which I'm just going to double click into. And this is what brings up our map control editor. So we've got a couple of things that we're going to do now, but it really doesn't take long at all. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to import our image. So I'm going to import an image, and in my other moment of here's one I made earlier, I know which image I'm importing and it's here. I'm going to make this screen a bit bigger in the hopes that you'll be able to see it a little bit better. So now we have our image, we can choose either individual, so we can shapes to go around it, or we can map shapes ourselves. Because I'm trying to do this in a timely fashion, I'm going to select a rectangle and I am going to just drag that image, that rectangle shape around one of my images that I want selectable. You can see the outline shape is this yellow and it's a little bit thin, and I may not want that. I can change the outline of my pen. I'm just going to choose a nice bright colour, a red, and I'm also going to increase the thickness of it to, let's say, 5 or 6, and click OK. If you're not happy, you can go back and you can make changes. I'm also going to show you another little shortcut that if you just click on the square and do Control C, you can copy it with Control V, and then I just drag and drop it around my other images. Control V again, and I can drag and drop around my other images. 2 more times. And all of my images have a boundary line around them. Now, you can tweak, you can zoom in on here. So for example, you can zoom in and you can tweak as to where the box lies around your response option. So you can go in, you can zoom in even more. And as I said, if you want to put boundary lines directly around individual things, you can do. So I'm happy with that. The next thing we have to remember to do is assign a code, and that's our response code that we had. If I right click and go assign code, this is my pre-event area, so I select pre-event, and that is the code that will now be assigned to that image selection. I'm going to do it with all of mine. Right click, assign code. This is my face-to-face interviews. Right click, assign code. This is my main arena. Right click, assign code. This is my post-event area, and right click, assign code. This is going to be our toilets, because you've got to have facilities. Now that we've done that, I can, if you can see here at the bottom, I've now got a little preview tab. So if I click on that, I can check that I'm happy with it before I click OK. And people can unselect it again if they want to. I'm very happy with that, so I'm going to click OK. And that has now come up as our map control question. Now, if I wanted that to also be in my smartphone because it works well, I can go over, and as you can see by default, my smartphone version has it as a tick box question. Once again, I change that by show, selecting map control and ticking, and it's now put that image in there. Now this image seems a little large, so you can double click on it, and if you want to, you can reduce it. I'm going to reduce mine by 50%. Depending on what the image is, you may want to do a couple of other things. You can save and import a smaller image. You may want a simplified image for your mobile version, in which case you can put a different, more simplified image in. But for these purposes, I'm just going to shrink this one down. Click OK, and we've now got our smaller version in our smartphone edition and our larger version in our PC and desktop edition. And they are all the changes I think that we are going to be making. We've created our category question as a drag and drop, as with our ranking question. We've applied a ratings checker to our grid question here, and we have also included a map or created a map control question here. I'm now going to upload these changes. And publish them. It's a live survey, so once again, I get that warning window, but I'm definitely sure that I want to. Now, while we're looking at that to upload, we're going to go back to our online account, and we're going to have a little chat about the QR code. A QR code now gets created for every survey that you create or that you load to Snap Online. And QR codes are wonderful things that you can add to brochures, posters, on to letters. They are great for all sorts of places. And here, if I click on it, it will download a high resolution version. If I click on that, I'm going to just move that across onto the screen. I'm going to ask you, and I'm probably going to do it at the same time, to just use your either QR reader. I've got an iPhone, so I just have to go into my camera, hold it over it, select the link, and it should take me to our lovely survey that we've got here today. I'm also going to go into the survey. I hope I've left that up for a long enough amount of time for people to be able to flash it. I might leave it up there for a few more seconds for you. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to go live. Please don't run through the survey yet. We're going to do it together as a team. So if I minimize that, I'm going to click on the live link so that I go into the live version on my desktop. So as you can see, we might have different page breaks which are more appropriate for the mobile version. But if I select yes, I've attended an event before, in both of them we've got a bit of routing and we can have some other options. My next question, which on my phone I have to click next to go to, I can choose how I found out about today's event, and I can also choose how I felt about today's event. As I said earlier, this once again is a map control question. It works really nicely for both the phone and also for your desktop. If I click next, we now get to see our drag and drop questions on our PC version. But on our phone version, we have got the category question, and we've decided to leave that as a drop down, which you can have a go at on your phone. But in our desktop version, we can see that we can just drag and drop those into the categories we want, but it would not have suited a mobile phone version. If we click next on our mobile phone version, we get to this question because I have a page break in there. And as you can see, it fits nicely. I can put speakers, workshops, networking, venue, and also remember, once you add them in, just as you can with your desktop one, you can change them around to the order of your preference, or your respondent can change them around to the order of their preference. If I click next on my phone and on my desktop, I can see that we are faced with our grid question. If I try to put first multiple ones, it gives us this, and it's a drop down in our phone. And if I click first for both speakers and network, you can see that we also get that error message that each answer can only be given once. So next we're going to go to our map control question, and we're going to make our selections. You can see it comes up nicely on our PC, and on our phone you can see it comes up there as well. So I'm going to make some selections and just click next. We've got a couple of other questions, and if you stick with it, there's one that you're really going to want to see, hopefully. I've also got a question here where I can just use a slider scale to say how many people I attended the event with. If I want any other information, I can put some comments in there. And if I'm very happy with things, I can fill in my stars, and that is both on our phone and on our desktop. The next couple of questions are just about which venue we attended and our age group. And then finally, we have our, when did I attend the event, so which month? And I've done this as a map control, not only in our desktop, but it fits very nicely on a smartphone as well. And hopefully you can see that. But finally, on your smartphone, you'll have to click next to get to it. But there's, would you like me to share this sample survey with you via email? I have set up an email alert on this survey so that if you select yes and go next, it will ask you for your name and your email address. And if you send that, it should send you an email alert that lets you have the download link to be able to have this sample survey so that you can play around with it yourself, and you can do perhaps follow through with some of the things that we've done today by creating more engaging questions. So that was my little Easter egg at the end, which was very timely appropriate. Now, I know I've gone over by a few minutes. Hopefully that's okay. I do apologise. I'm just going to say thank you very much for coming and listening. You know, engaging questions are really important. So just remember, you can build better surveys with Snap XMP, make them more engaging, and it represents your brand in a fun and professional way. But mainly, it engages the respondents so that they're going to give you more results so that you can get better data. If you have any questions, I have a very lovely colleague called Sadie who is standing by our inbox, and you can email us on info@snapsurveys.com. That's info@snapsurveys.com. And I'm quite sure that at some point in the future, you are going to be able to have access to this webinar, normally on our help page. If you have never been to our support hub, just go online to our webpage, which is snapsurveys.com. And you can select our support, select XMP if you're in XMP, and I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. We have lots of resources here for you to be able to get up and using Snap, including engaging questions. If you completed that survey, I already took you to a page, a web page with our engaging question types on it. And never be afraid of exploring our website as well. We have lots of options and solutions, ready-made solutions available as well in our marketplace. So please do visit us and let us know what you think. But any questions, give us a call. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very, very much for taking the time to visit me today. It's been great. I'll leave this slide up for a couple of minutes in case people would like to take down the email address. But that's all from me. Thank you very much.